All right, Ian, this is a Kickstarter that came up for an HDMI Nintendo 64 called the Warrior 64 that as of today has less than 10 days left, 9 days to go, already reached its goal here. This was something, this is from Intech doing this, Intech Gaming. I was aware that this was going to be coming out eventually because I was in communication with the rep from Intech for I think 6-7 months, going back to the spring about this. But I was not made aware of this Kickstarter, and I don't know how it wasn't brought up on the hashtag on Twitter until recently here. So what this is, there's two different things you can pledge here. You can pledge to a do-it-yourself kit to basically mod your N64. It's a board that converts it to HDMI out. So that's the one tier you can get. And that tier is, let's see, what's that tier at here? $95 US. So that's the kit there. And you get a gamepad with that for $95, which is like a Hori Mini looking pad.
It looks like a recreation of the Hori Mini,
which a few different companies have done.
Retrobit's done one.
Yeah.
Hyperkin basically used that design for their wireless controller. Yeah.
So that's the first thing that's available. But what's more interesting to me, because there are other do-it-yourself kits available on the market here, which we'll talk about in a bit. But there's also a tier for getting just a console, a prefabbed console that's HDMI on here. And that tier was at $150. It's limited to about 500, it looks like here. Well, let's see. It's limited to 500 black and 500 green. So with that, you get the console. You also get the Warrior 64 gamepad, and they did their own new shell, their own new console shell.
Right.
That's a little more angular. It just looks a little bit different.
It looks. I'm not sure what they were going for, but if they wanted to make something that looked polygonal and looked of the era, it screams that for me. I don't know how to put it. I don't know that I personally like the design, but I think it's a design
yes,
it's a design that conveys. That screams 32/64-bit polygonal gaming.
You wouldn't have been surprised if Nintendo did that design. Like, it's almost like that could have.
No,
fit.
It does. It very much fits. I'm not exactly. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it definitely fits.
So the question to me now is, because it's not entirely clear what's inside the console. I assume obviously they made their RGB board,
right?
And then
HDMI board,
converting it to the HDMI out, right? Mm-hmm. What the heck is in this? When I spend $150, what am I actually getting? Is it regular N64 guts, and then you put this do-it-yourself kit in there, and then they solder it for me, and then gave it back to me in the new console shell? Or is it a whole new N64 board they made in here?
A clone board,
like a clone board,
right?
With that includes the RGB to HDMI. What is going on here? And as I was recording, I emailed them asking for clarity on that, and I haven't heard back yet. Because at $150 with a controller, there's not a huge amount of margin there for Intech if they took the guts of a pre-existing console.
Right.
They had to source they had to source 1,000 N64s and then mod them themselves, which takes time. That's annoying. Take the shells off, put the new shell on, and then send it out. Like, that's a lot of work, and plus a controller for $150. That's a pretty damn good deal at $150 when you look at it like that.
Yeah, I mean, $150 for a modded N64 is great.
With the controller.
With the controller is, see, how do I phrase this properly? To me, it would be great. Like, if you were just selling an N64 that was pre-modded, controller, mod board, everything, $150, I think that would probably be a very good price.
Sure.
So is that what we're getting here? If so, then I think that's pretty good, but I have problems with cannibalizing old systems to make new systems. If it's not an N60, if it's not cannibalized N64 parts. What the heck's in there? What's the compatibility like? And is it worth the money that you're spending?
Exactly.
Those are my questions.
Because I go on eBay and it looks like you can buy ones that are modded with the board. Because you can buy these boards. So the one that my source told me about, it's the N64 RGB board, and it costs you 55 Australian pat math. It's like $40 US. Where they send you the RGB board. You get it, you mod it yourself, and you do the HDMI out, and there you go. So on eBay, you can buy a modded one for $160. Just an N64 console with the board probably inside, and it has the HDMI out on it. So when you look at that, you're like, yeah, this is a damn good deal. If it's using original N64 guts.
And then I have problems.
Then you have problems because it's like,
why are you cannibalizing it?
Where did you find 1,000 to keep the cost down? Because Ian, I'm thinking they must have gone, since they're based in Hong Kong, or they go to a bunch of junk shops in Asia to see if they can find them for like $20 each US, and then at that point, then you're making some profit margin with the board, but then it's your time, and the controllers don't cost a huge amount if you get them in bulk made. But that's what I'm thinking about here. Now I'm thinking about, would have been better, I guess. Maybe it would have been a lot more money to make your own clone board. No one's done it yet, that we know of, a clone N64 board. So
Hyperkin talked about having one, but
forever.
It's never come out.
Yeah, or they thought it was going to be an emulation base. But so this is why I'm like, this is cool. But yes, the cannibalizing potentially is what bothers, I think, the both of us at that point.
Right.
Plus, it's not a sustainable business model. You can't sell 10,000 of these. Go out and get rid of all the aftermarket N64 consoles.
Well, and I think that's what that's why the kit exists. You can buy the kit with the board and the shell and all that, and do it to yourself. Do it to your own console, and put it in there. And that's why I think I'm leaning towards it's probably cannibalization of consoles, because you would have to have your clone board printed to the exact same specifications as the original board to be able to, sell a shell that you can fit your old N64 board into after it's been modded.
Sure. And then plus, when you look at the spacing of the controller ports and everything, it's like, yeah, they probably just took out the old shell. They soldered it and put it back in. But it's 1,000 of them, though. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
There. That's a lot of work. As we're recording this, they've got 110 people that backed the green console, which is like the see-through jungle, and then the smoky. They call it the black, but it's like the smoke one. That one has 159 backers. So a lot of ones left here. Like I said, I'm interested in this, but I guess it's the ethical issue of the cannibalization of parts versus. I mean, that's the only way they can do it. So yeah, it's up to you guys if you want to get the kit, but keep in mind. We have to be transparent. Kits like this exist already.
Oh yeah, this isn't brand new.
They just took it to the next step, offering you the console I like these shells a lot, and you get the controller thrown in. What do these controllers usually go for? Just in general, what is the Retrobit one?
Retrobit stuff is usually like $20, I think.
Let's see, Retrobit N64. They charge $25 for their
25.
It's called the Tribute 64. It looks roughly the same thing. And there's the Retro Fighters one as well, which is $25. That's the fighting version one as well. So, all right, it's like a $25 value on here. So you're getting the console for $125 only retail, which is damn good at that point. If they're selling the mod kit itself for $95, you're only paying $30 more for the console at that point. That's like really. I'm trying to wrap my head around the pricing here. It's almost like
that's where I'm having trouble too, because especially right now in pandemic times, N64s are not $30.
No, just for the console alone. I mean, what, $60
at least? I would say.
They must have. This is pre-pandemic. They must have knew this was coming a year ago. Then, if these are cannibalized, and went out and just sourced them from all over.
Sure.
Went to junk shops, maybe some places in Japan where they have them stacked up, because we've seen some of those. Some of those stores are being sold, or storage units where they are stacked up, the N64s. I mean, I've owned the most amount of N64s I've owned at one time. I probably owned 9 or 10 from the swap meet. When it used to be like $20, you get N64 for $20 from the swap meet. So it's possible, but not in this past 6-7 months. Though it's a little bit tougher to get these. So anyway, so check it out here. If you're up for the console, check it out, or the do-it-yourself kit. But like I said, the kits exist. They have existed. Like I said, you can get prefabbed looks like modded ones on eBay as well, but they're more money than this one with a custom shell, and controllers. That's why I'm still thinking about, like, this is either a great deal or there's shenanigans going on with this.
Yeah.